Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. I just want to hear if people are here with me. Just say hello. Is everyone with me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello.
Hi, Timbela.
Hello.
Hi, Tambela.
Okay.
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. That's great. Good afternoon, guys. I hope you did well on your assignment. I hope you get good marks. For today, we are going to focus on two things which are very important for your next assignment. So we're going to focus on the concept of being African and also on the concept of Ubuntu. So as I look at your next assignment, I don't know when is it due, but the identity of being an African and also the concept of Ubuntu is very important for the next assignment. Can everyone see the slide?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay.
We can
Okay,
see
Yes.
that's good.
Tabela.
Sorry?
We can.
Okay, good. That's good. Welcome to AFL 1501. This is the third session for today. As I said, that we're going to focus on two concepts. The one on African identity, I'm an African, and also on Ubuntu. On this session, you will notice that I focus more on African, on Africa and African, because I thought to myself that I think this is the most the problematic one, or the one that sometimes people struggle with. So, as opposed to Ubuntu, I think a lot of people understand it easy. What is the concept? What does it mean? Or the philosophy behind Ubuntu. So begin with this question, what it means for you or to you to be an African. So for now, for this first slide or the second slide, I don't expect people to have answer right away, but I believe that at the end of this session, people will be able to answer that question comfortably, because this question, what it means for you or to you to be an African, is not an answer that is out there for one to find. It's not an answer that you can be wrong. It's on a personal level. It's something personal to you, what it means for you or to you, not in general. But I believe that, because I have also researched other people's answers based on this question, what does the African, what it means to be an African to them, and I've seen that there are common things which people give in their explanation of what it means to be an African. And I'm also going to read few quotes and examples of these answers, and you will notice that things like diversity, cultural diversity, things like language, things like where you're from, where you were born, there are common things that come out when different people answer that question, what it means to be an African to them. The first quote that I will read, I did not get the name for that person. He or she says that to be an African means to be an individual that forms part of a whole. It means to celebrate our diversity in a way that promotes understanding and to focus on the challenges facing our continent. This while still prioritizing the struggle of our own nation. Being African is to come from a land of complexity. And then Theolin Tembo says something different from the first one, but they are, key concepts such as diversity, land, in his explanation of what it means to be an African in Theolin. He says that I am an African, not because of my colored skin or how I look and speak. I am an African because of everything I have taught by the people of this continent and everyone that I have met. No matter where I go, I will always be an African. I will share stories and experiences on what it has been like growing up in Africa while gaining others from those around me. I will lose myself in the abundance of westernized culture, but always appreciate, love, and celebrate the cultures that I have found on African soil. Even those I have yet to learn. The second quote I got is from a radio station, Afropolitan. It's a radio station in Pretoria. I think it's based on Pretoria. It reads as follows: that it is said that when you are born in Africa, Africa is also born in you, and so the love affair with your homeland begins. Moreover, being African seems to be more than simply a coincidence of birth. It is a choice too. Those living in the diaspora have often never touched African soil, yet Africa is alive in them. But what does it mean to be an African? We who claim this great continent as our home vary like the colors of a rainbow. Our cultures, religions, race, and languages often differ greatly, yet we are all bound not only by the geographical borders of this continent, but more importantly, by the intangible belief that this is home. It is only natural that we love our home. After all, it is the place where we can be ourselves and the place where we can remake ourselves in the image of our dreams. Africa, with its boundlessness, boundless energy and unmistakable spirit, offers a springboard to its citizens only limited by their own limitations. However, we often take for granted the gift we are bestowed, and it is necessary as a reminder to ask, why do you love being African? So that is him. So the last quote, I don't want to bore you with some quotes, but this is the last one by Esther. Okay, she she says that I have never considered the question why I am proud to be an African. Being born in Lithuania and then moving to South Africa as a young girl, I never chose to come here, but I built a life here with children and happiness and sadness too. At my age now, what I enjoy most about living here is the weather. It is never too cold and the sun is always shining. Outside of my windows, I can see children playing cricket in the sun. How lovely to be young in the sunlight. We are very spoiled here. There is more hope here than anywhere else. Other countries are held captive by tension. We are more tolerant and at ease here. Although things are very bad in other African countries, here is hope for change. God doesn't give problems to those who can't take it. Africa has many problems, but things can get better. Anyway, you have to think that things will get better. It is the only way to survive. I am turning 89 this month. I should know. So these are the quotes that I've read. These people giving their own answers as to what it means for them to be African. You'll notice that traditions, cultures, diversity, hope, land, place of birth comes out often. What does it mean for you to be an African? This is just I've given an example of how people believe or what it means for them to be an African. I don't expect you to answer this question now. Maybe later, before I get to the concept of Ubuntu, I'll then ask this question again, where you can give me your own view of what it means for you to be an African. And also remember that there is no wrong or right answer here. It comes from you. It's how you see Africa and how you see yourself as an African. Are you guys still with me? Hello, is everyone still with me?
Yes, Tembela.
Okay. Um, yeah, I've asked also, friends, people that I work with, others doing masters, others doing PhDs, generally for them what it means to be an African. I've also researched and I've seen that the place or the geographical space that someone lives in or was born in is very important to their definition or to their meaning of what it means for them to be an African. So, to give an example, for someone, let's say, who was born in a different continent, let's say born in North America, that person will say, "I'm a North American," because he or she is born in North America. And then within North America, there are different countries. Uh, and then that person will say, "I'm a Mexican," or "I'm an American." First, he was a North American, and then he's a Mexican. And then there are different cities. Let's say in USA, there are different states there. Others are born in Nevada, others are born in New York, others are born in Texas. So their definition of themselves and what it means to be North American might differ, but it is very critical, I'm sure, for them the continent at which they are born, because Africa is a continent. I was just making an example of North America, but we are in Africa, so our definitions will always be Africa. So for us, whether you are born in Africa or you born somewhere else and then now you live in Africa. So the continent itself is very important to your self-identity, to how you identify yourself as an African, a North American, and a European, Asian. So continent is always important. Where you live, we are all in Africa, I believe. Everyone of us, I believe that we are all in Africa, because I did ask, is there anyone who's in Europe in our first session? So one will say I'm an African because of the geographical space I live in, the continent. I live in Africa, so I'm an African. And then, because you are in South Africa, you are a South African, you are a South African. Your identity and what it means for you to be an African might differ because you are in this country called South Africa, and then you live in a city, you live in a town. If you live in Durban or you live in Johannesburg, and then there are people who live in Cape Town or the Western Cape. So I might say that, coming from the most beautiful city in Africa, which is Cape Town, and coming from the fifth beautifulest country in the world, which is South Africa, my view in being an African is to share the diversity of people, blah, 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 blah. So these things contribute. This geography, the place where you live, the place where you were born, contributes to your self-identity, to your identity as an African. So this is one of the things I've also picked up, that the people I've asked this question to, or even my research, that land or the place of birth, or where you come from, or where you live now, is very important. It's very interesting when I it's very interesting when the being an African, this concept of being an African to people who live in America, to black Africans, to black Americans. There, it's very interesting. They've never been into Africa. They are not born in Africa, but people, they do associate themselves with Africa. So that is very interesting. I try to zoom in here into South Africa because I know South Africa. Because this question of, are you an African? The answers you would get are very interesting. You would hear people saying that, no, I'm not an African. You'll hear people giving you very strange answers, and you would be confused. What does this person mean when they say he's not an African? And sometimes, the forms we get, like when you sign a contract or when you sign anything, you'll get those questions that ask you to choose. Are you white? Are you Indian? Are you colored? Or are you African? And then for me, I don't know about other people, I get confused there. What do you mean I'm an African? Are other people not Africans? Because in my view, I believe that if you're a South African, you are an African. Okay? So this question is very interesting. That is why I zoom in this part, in the South African, the identity of you in South Africa, more than starting from up in Africa. So in South Africa, you will find that there are many religions. There are different religions. There is Christianity, there is Islam, there is African ancestry, and these religions are very unique to South Africans. Are very unique. Even Christianity is not the same Christianity as as the Christianity that is practiced in Middle East or in Europe. You'll find that in South Africa we even mix these. You get people who believe in their ancestry, but at the same time who are Christians, so they are mixing it. People who believe in Islam, but at the same time they are mixing it with African ancestry. People who practice Christianity in their African way, in their African values, who use their African, tools or music instrument that is indigenous or indigenous made instruments. So this forms part of our identity. Who are we now? This for me, shows a great deal of who are we as South Africans. The diversity of religion, the diversity of cultures, and also most importantly, the diversity of language. For instance, we all know that in South Africa has 11 official languages and sign language. 11 official languages and sign language. But when you come to Cape Town, or the Western Cape, there are these three big or official languages in Cape Town. If you are applying for a job, you will find these three are very important. It is English, Afrikaans, and isiXhosa. Many people here in the Western Cape, they speak these three languages. Others are even multilingual. They speak more than one. Others are, others are bilingual and others are multilingual. They speak, for instance, I speak English and also I speak isiXhosa. I understand Afrikaans. I want to speak Afrikaans, excel Afrikaans, yes. Yeah. So I also want to speak all of them, which is because as a Cape Townian, as someone who lives in Cape Town, it is part of me, as my identity. I think these three languages contribute a lot. So now excuse me, I noticed on the assignment that it says you should also focus on the language. There's a part there about the language. So I'm still on this identity, self-identity, identifying yourself as an South African, and then identifying yourself as an African. So I have two examples here of, even our English as African. It doesn't matter if even if you are white or you are colored or you are black or you're Indian, the accent is very specific to South Africa. Is very unique. You are unique. We are all unique as South Africans. For example, if we look at this, the cartoon on the right, one guy is saying that please mate, bang us some dosh for the dong and bone. I don't understand what this guy is saying, but when he said mate, I assume he's British. But the other guy is saying, I don't understand. I only speak English. So the way in which these two gentlemen are using English is very unique to where they come from. One, you can tell he come from Britain, and the other, you can tell that he come from South Africa, or maybe not South Africa, but for a different country than Britain. And then when you look on the left frame, you'll see one guy saying that I know where you all should be here if you don't speak English real good. So that ain't and y'all, if y'all, that is, that is a dialect that is mostly used in America. Ain't no way, y'all, if y'all. So it's a dialect used in America. And then the other guy say, sure, may I say double negatives and don't forget the use an adverb. You see here, language. This is English, but these people are speaking English in different ways. In different ways. One, as I have said, I think it was a first or second session where I said language have a dual character. So the first one is the means of communication. The second one is carrying a culture. So this one saying ain't nowhere you all should is carrying a particular American culture. And then the other one is carrying a British culture. And even our own South African English is unique to South Africa. We even have English vocabulary that is not in other parts of the world. We have names, English names that other people don't know. That speaks to the uniqueness of South Africa, of South African English. Here I've got a list of how we talk as South Africans. This does not necessarily mean that you speak all these words, but for me as South African, I know there are words here which we speak. For example, the first one is Ahmed, meaning oh man. And then the second one is Icona, no way. Baki, is there anyone who doesn't know what Baki means? Guys, do you know what Baki? Hello? Are we all together or I'm just alone? Other people are experiencing load shedding. Where is everyone?
I am with you.
Okay, you are strangely. You guys are strangely quiet.
We are here, Tembela.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to hear if you're still here because you are strangely quiet. So I was asking if you know biltong or baki, these words that I'm mentioning. So there's no one here, not even one of you guys know what baki mean or biltong.
Yes, I know what a buggy is. I think it's just a name that we use only here in SA. Outside of SA, they don't know that a buggy is a truck or a pickup.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Language, even English, there's a unique way in which we speak English as South African. It doesn't matter whether you are white, black, or colored, or Indian. We all have these words that we use. We all have our English that is unique to South Africans. So other word is Boeravos. I watch Steve Harvey's show here in South Africa. Someone said Boeravos, and then Steve Harvey did not even know what that means. What does Boeravos mean? So that means that it's a South African concept for spicy sausage. Other names are Boki, Braai, Cherry means girlfriend, Cozy, swimsuit, that's the first one. I didn't know that one. Doff, Dop, Fundi. This one is very common. People use it. How's it? Meaning, how are you? Or is it? Really? It means really. Jolling or jolling. Just now means sometime soon. I don't know if you guys have listened to Trevor Noah's joke. Trevor Noah stand-up comedian where he talk about being black. He always wanted to be black. In there, he make a joke about the use of language, the use of English language, where In America, they would pronounce other things differently as opposed to South Africa. For example, they would say, we call it battery, they call it a battery. We call it, what's the other words? We say robots. Other people or other parts of the world, they call it traffic lights. We call them robots. That's just another examples. Muti, we know what muti is. People use a lot of muti, and we even accuse others of using muti for luck. My brew, my China, ekum no, I come now. Techies, trek, we know what a tsotsi is. And yebo. Okay, yeah, this there are things that are specific to South Africa and South Africans called starter pack. You can see there's some South African farmer starter pack. That means wearing those, that culture of wearing like that is specific to South African farmers. In other parts of the world, yes, maybe farmers don't wear like that, but that type of wearing, once you show someone, or once you see someone wearing like that, you can immediately tell that this one is a South African farmer, or this one is a South African. And the other things, South African contribution to humanity starter pack. You often, when you said humanity, South African contribution to humanity, Nelson Mandela is there. Oh, the president. Oh, Baba, our hero. Ubuntu. Once you see a vuvuzela, I don't think other nations use a vuvuzela. I think a vuvuzela is unique to South Africa. Other African countries try to use vuvuzela, but it did not work. They have small vuvuzela, but South Africa still uses. I think it's the only country that still uses vuvuzela in football. And here, the top picture there, I think is I just forgot the word now, where we use for cancer treatment, and you have medical isotopes to treat cancer. Heart transplant, most the first person to perform a heart transplant was someone, Dr. Christian Barnard, together with I forgot the other guy, who was a black crosser, but he was not a doctor. He was helping with him. So even the Christian, the hospital, Christian Barnard, is only here in South Africa. That's where they started the human transplant. It started in South Africa. So immediately when you see these things, Charlize Theron from America, we know where she was born. She's a South African. Okay. There are certain values that are specific to South Africa. Immediately when you say South Africa or South African, they just pop, because you as a South African, this is my South African culture. When you speak of peace, you know where that comes from. When you speak of non-violence, democracy, you know that South Africa have this democracy where the transition from the apartheid to this democracy was very smooth, and it was surprising because normally in Africa a democratic transition is always marked by violence, the killing, the genocide, and all of those. But in South Africa, it was a very peaceful and non-violent democratic transition. So when you say democracy, you know those values, peace, non-violent democracy, which most are associated with Nelson Mandela, you know, that those values, those are values here in South Africa that, you know, we characterize ourselves with. Ubuntu, the spirit of Ubuntu. We are going to talk about Ubuntu and diversity. We all know that, you know, South Africa have these diverse languages, these diverse cultures, and the diverse people. People are coming to South Africa now all over the world, in Africa, in Asia. I was very surprised when in 2014 when I went to Eastern Cape, and then I met a Chinese guy who was speaking fluent Xhosa, not like the Xhosa you learn, not like the Xhosa people speak, you know, fluent. I mean, fluent Xhosa. I was very surprised. Even Chinese now speak Xhosa. That was strange for me, but this is the world we live in now. South Africa is so diverse now. People coming from all over the world, they come in South Africa and they adopt to our culture. And these values, once you say South African, you know these values, they live in you. You know them, you know. I'm an African. Yeah, as I've just said, diverse cultures. We have these diverse cultures in South Africa because we have different ethnicities. We have the Afrikaners, we have the Kalas, we have the Xhosas, we have the Zulus, we have the Ndebele. They all contribute to the South African identity. South Africa is this country that have diverse cultures, different music genres. Yeah, this one we do have a different music genres. The popular ones now, amapiano, gqom, amapiano and gqom. I specifically put these two because there's this Jerusalem dance challenge all over the world. They are doing Jerusalem. You see, uh, before I just pass this, do you know Jerusalem dance challenge? Is there anyone? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I actually took part in it at my workplace. It was really, really cool.
Okay. Anyone else? Is it only
Yes,
one person?
no, I also know
Hello?
of the Jerusalem
Oh,
challenge.
okay. Have you took part in it?
Unfortunately, I'm very stiff. I tried. My daughter tried to teach me, but too bad. I can't
Okay.
dance.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Anyone else? The Jerusalem challenge. They're all doing it all over the world. They're doing the Jerusalem challenge. The Chinese, Italian military, people all over the world are doing a South African composed song and composed dance. You know, the South African, well, this thing comes from South Africa. It's a South African DJ who did the song Jerusalem, and it's all over the world. So I think that contributes to being part, you know, to this identity and being proud of being South African, you know, because it comes from South Africa. Everyone is dancing to our Jerusalem now. Uh, I think it's Gqom or Amapiano. I'm not sure that Jerusalem dance or Jerusalem song. I'm not sure which one it comes from. Uh, Different foods. Yes, we have different foods that are specific to South Africa. You know, the food of delicacy in Asia, they use abalone. They, you know, if you are a very important guest in Asia, let's say you are in Japan, and let's say you are a minister who visited Japan, and then they want to cook you a food of delicacy, the best dish they can ever give you. They will give you the South African abalone, because they say that a South African abalone is more delicious than any other abalone. So if you go to China, you go to Vietnam, you go to Japan, you ask which abalone is the best, they'll tell you that the South African abalone is the best abalone. So we have these different food. We also have only food that are only produced in South Africa. You know, yeah. So all these contribute to our identity as South Africa. There's a reason why I'm joining only to South Africa, because if I ask from the onset, are you an African? Other people might say no. So I want to zoom in on South Africa because I know that there's no way you will say you are not a South African. You are a South African. Therefore, you share in South African culture. You are a South African. Therefore, you are an African. And you should have an answer when you are being asked, what does it mean to be an African to you? Because because from the onset, you know that you are a South African. Being a South African is being an African. So all this is based Thabo Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki speech, I'm an African. It clarified many things and many doubts about what it means being an African. I just only quoted the two quotes here, but you are asked to, listen to the whole speech. It was in 1996. The president was Nelson Mandela. He was the vice president. He made this "I am an African" speech, which is very famous. But we're not going to analyze Thabo Mbeki's speech. These are two quotes. The first quote, he says, "I'm an African. I owe my being to the hills and the valleys, the mountains and the glades, the rivers, the deserts, the trees, the flowers, the seas, and the ever-changing seasons that define the face of our native land." The second quote, which is very important and very critical, "It is a firm assertion made by ourselves that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black or white. It is our firm assertion made by ourselves that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black or white." So my question is there someone who's not a South African in
Yes,
this class?
I am a Zimbabwean.
Yes, you are a Zimbabwean. Great. So you do have a Zimbabwean ID.
Yes, and a
Yes, of
passport.
course. Okay. Is there anyone who's outside Africa who was born outside, who does not have an identity document from an African country? Anyone? No one. Is there anyone who have an identity document from a country outside of Africa? Okay, great. Then it means that, if you have a Zimbabwean identity document, you are an African. If you have an Angolan identity document, you are an African. So for people who, you know, I know that there are white South Africans who maybe their descendants come from Scotland, Netherlands, or others. Their parents were born in Italy and England. But according to Mbeki, you cannot claim that you are not an African if you have an identity document or you live in Africa, like you live in South Africa. Therefore, you are an African. You are a South African. It is a firm assertion made by ourselves that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black or white. Here he talks about belonging, but here I'm trying to emphasize that you are a South African if you live in South Africa, and South Africa belongs to you, and you belong to South Africa. South Africa is a part of Africa. Therefore, you are an African. So, I want to pose this question. Maybe 2 people or 3 people, yeah, let's say 3. Can they give us their view? There is no wrong or right answer. Every answer is specific to yourself and your opinion. So, I want just 3 people to give us their own view of what it means for them to be an African.
Hi, Tabella. I am still here. I'm just trying to think of an answer. I've been researching today about what it means to be African. It's just a very, yeah, I'm still trying to get a grasp on what it means to be an African. But I found the speech that we had to listen to very interesting in the way he spoke about it, and like, you know, like he was highlighting the fact that, you know, where there are countries that are facing, or like in Africa, there are some places that are facing or worse off than us, and we feel the pain for them, something along the lines. But I think for me, to be African is to, personally, I don't think what it means to be African is to be, I don't know. Whenever I think of it, I think of unity, because South Africa and Africa, whenever there's crisis, we come together. No matter our race, circumstances, we're there together. But still working on what it means to be African. You know, it's not anything. You know, everybody in South Africa and Africa, well, we're African, whether we like it or not. But for me as well, going to a different country and missing home, there's no place like Africa, South Africa and Africa a lot. So I think that might be my answer, but I'm still working on what it means to be African.
Okay, that is great. That is great. You said unity. Many people talk about unity when they talk about South Africa. So I highlighted unity. Anyone else?
Hi, Tambela and everyone.
Hello.
You know, this concept of being an African is, I would say, it's too deep for one, especially when you look at the speech that the former president has made. When I read the speech, it relates to the animals. There are animals that you can only find in Africa, which makes one have a sense of belonging. He made mention of the rivers. There are rivers that are connecting the African continent. he is not specifically referring to a region in Africa, but he's referring to Africa as the continent, which makes you feel like you belong in Africa wherever you are within the continent. You do not feel as an outsider.
As an outsider, yeah.
Yes. When he talks about how he sees himself as part of the whole African continent, it makes one to see that irrespective of the different languages that we speak as African people, irrespective of cultures that we believe in as African people, but we have this one common thing that brings us together as Africans, which is the Africanity. It is something that is not easy to explain, but it's a sense of belonging, feeling that, you know, I am an African, not because of the color of my skin, not because of my religion, not because of my culture, but because of the oneness that we share as Africans. That is basically what I've made sense of.
Okay, that is very great, great contribution. I've highlighted belonging, Africanicity, our oneness. Also, Zoe mentioned unity, our oneness, and also, you know, the big five. We have the big five in Africa. Any other contribution? Anyone wants to attempt? Hello, you still here? Anyone wants to attempt? As I've said, just an opinion, this one. Okay, it seems that, you know, people want to keep their opinion to themselves. Okay. Yeah, let us move on. We were here. Okay. Tabambeki said it is a firm assertion made by ourselves that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black or white. Now, what I quoted here, you must know that I've quoted this out of context. Yeah? Vico was not talking about being an African, but there's a quote where he said, being black is not a matter of pigmentation. Being black is a reflection of a mental attitude. Maybe if he was talking about, let's say, being an African, he would say it is not a matter of pigmentation. It is the sense of belonging, the sense of longing. People in America want to go to Africa, Africa, our motherland, Africa, our home. This is quoted out of context, of course. And then there is Ubuntu, the concept of Ubuntu. What do we understand about this concept of Ubuntu?
I have an answer.
Mm.
No, sorry. I watched the most interesting TED Ed talk about this guy. Was amazing. And his father actually came from Africa. I can't remember which country he came from, but yeah. Anyway, he spoke about Ubuntu as being a combination of 3 elements: kindness, compassion, and connection. And that, you know, use the example of, you know, if someone is, you know, hurt or going to have an accident, or like, yeah, let's just say someone's just fallen and you're going to help them, you're not going to stand there and be like, well, do you sort of believe in you know, do you believe in my religion? Do you believe in politics? No, you're not going to ask that. You're going to go straight for the person and you're going to give them the hand, because that's what it means to be. You just, that, it's hard to
To
explain.
help without
He-
expecting any
exactly.
reward or any applause.
And he highlighted it so beautifully, and it was a brilliant talk that he did on Ubuntu, and it sort of really clarified for me. I'd watched a whole lot of videos because I wanted to get a better idea, but I think for me, I think what stood out was the kindness, compassion, and connection, and that when
Kindness,
we stand,
compassion, and connection.
yes, and he also kept quoting, "I am because we are."
Okay, I am because we are.
Yeah. So it was
That's
really
a great.
powerful. Would
Yeah,
you like
it
me
is powerful.
to share it in the link to the video in the message box?
Yes, you can. Please do.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, that's my little piece of the cake. Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else's contribution? What is your understanding? What is your understanding of Ubuntu?
Hi. I think I agree with the statement which says that I am because we are. I think Ubuntu, it talks to the person not living as an island. We need each other in order for us to survive and to prosper. It also resonates with the statement which says it takes a village to raise a child. It's that concept of helping each other and being there for each other.
That togetherness.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
That is good. That is powerful. It takes a village to raise a child. Anyone else? Their own understanding of Ubuntu.
I
Hello.
would say the interconnectivity between humanity is one of the key principles.
Connectivity. Okay.
The
Humanity.
interconnectivity
Interconnectivity.
humanity. And
Okay.
when I refer to that, like the previous ladies said, no, we need each other in all aspects of life. So basically, each one has a role to play to ensure that, the earth and the continents that we're living on basically can survive.
Okay, that's good. That's powerful. We need each other. Connectivity. Anyone else who wants to contribute? Your own understanding of Ubuntu. Have Ubuntu, please. Anyone else want to contribute?
Tembela,
Yeah.
I share the same sentiments with the rest of the group, but I just want to add that according to my understanding,
Mm. You're breaking up. Alisa, you are breaking up. Okay. Can you please, write your answer here on the meeting chat so we can, hear what you are going to say, because we can't hear you now. We just can't hear you. I am because we are, and because we are, I am, we are all one. Ubuntu, I am because you are. Nelson Mandela said that in Africa there's a concept known as Ubuntu, the profound sense that we are human only through the humanity of others. But if we are to accomplish anything in this world, it will, in equal measure, be due to the work and achievement of others. That is what Nelson Mandela said about Ubuntu. I am what I am because of who we are. Compassion, kindness, and humanity that connects us together by sharing ourselves with others and caring for those around us. Can anyone give us an example of, Ubuntu with reference to examples of your day-to-day example? Like your example, you can say maybe my neighbor did this during this COVID-19. There was a family who did not have food, a family who did not afford blah 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 blah, and then another lady from the street did this. Is there any examples from our day-to-day life? For example, on the radio station Umhlobo Wenene yesterday, I listened. For the first time, I hear, during the day, one would call and then ask for help and explain their problem, their situation. So there was a lady who called yesterday who said that their house was burnt by fire. I did not catch that whole story, but I heard that their house was burned by fire, and then she called Umhlobo Wenene and explained the problem. And listeners of Umhlobo Wenene all around South Africa, they called asking for bank accounts. They bought bricks. They bought food. They bought clothes. They sent money to these people don't even know her. Others, they give emotional support to the family. They transfer money via e-wallet. They transfer money via bank accounts. People who don't know them. And then another guy called yesterday and said that because of this lockdown, the last time I worked was in April. So now me and my sister have no food in the house. And I'm sure by now that guy, there are a lot of people who will not shout and say, I'm going to help, I have helped. But that guy, I'm definitely sure that people will help him. In my case, when I started as a data capturer in the South African National Library, I did not have money for transport. So a friend, because I did not ask him to do that, but a friend, he just posted on his WhatsApp and said, my friend needs money for transport. This is the number. He did not give a name, but it was very strange how people they just e-walleted me, and people just they gave me money for transport. People who don't know me, like we have never met, but people send e-wallet, people wanted my bank account, and they said and they send money via bank account. People whom I don't know, people whom I never met, I have not met even today. See? So for me, that is how I saw the spirit of Ubuntu. So for you guys, is there anyone who want to tell a story or want to share their story with reference to everyday examples of Ubuntu?
I don't know if you remember the story of the fuel attendant from Shell Garage that happened sometime last year. And there was a lady who went at the Sept station to get fuel, and she had forgotten her wallet at home. So the petrol attendant just said, "No, it's fine. I can just put in 100 rand for you so that you can just go." And then she went away. And that lady returned the favor. Obviously, when the guy did the favor, he didn't expect anything like a thank you or something in return. It was just someone helping out. But the lady that he helped, she organized some kind of a fund, and she pulled a lot of money that the attendant ended up having money to pay for the children's universities and stuff. I think it was a trust fund for the children. It was a lot of money, and it went on and on and on. And Shell Garage was also proud of him. Yeah. And during the lockdown, also when I was going to the clinic, I could see a family could come with a big truck with big boxes and what, and they started serving the people at the clinic a cup of soup and some bread just for free. They just go around, give people food, and then they drive away.
Sure. That is great. Any other examples? Anyone wants to share? Or let me move to the second question. Based on your life experiences, give examples of how your community practice or do not practice communal life. How community, an example of a community practicing Ubuntu. Any examples?
Can I use an example from that's not from South Africa?
Yes, you can.
When I was overseas in China, I had I wasn't, with my work colleagues, I wasn't very close with them. But the one time I think it was a big holiday, and they didn't want me to spend it alone, so they invited me to go and have dinner with them so that I wouldn't be alone on the holiday. And they sent me back home with a huge plate of food, and so it was very interesting. I think the community, I think I never experienced quite as much community as I did overseas than I do here. Maybe it's just because it's a different, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah,
Okay,
I think
that's
that
good.
would be sort of my example.
Okay, good example. Food. Anyone else? Anyone wants to contribute? Maybe you have seen. It doesn't have to be you. It might be something that you have seen. Someone doing it. I saw a guy, I don't know, I think it was last year, a guy who proposed to his wife or to his girlfriend at KFC. That trended a lot last year. And then a lot of people, it was, the one who posted that, I don't know if that person was trying to embarrass them or what, but he or she posted it on social media. I think it was Twitter. But the response that tweet got, it was very different. People contributed a lot. People who said, I'm gonna buy this. People who said, I'm gonna cater. People who said, I'm gonna transfer money. KFC even sponsored the wedding. As artists who said, I'm going to sing at this wedding. Uh, People who availed their services for this couple in their marriage. So the response was because these people expected nothing. They just wanted to help this couple with everything. Basically, that couple paid nothing for their wedding, and I'm sure they got a lot of money. And then I think last month, there was a guy who trended a video of a very poor boy. I think it was in Gauteng. He works in, he's very poor. Even his clothes, he have clothes, they're dirty, and you can tell that this boy is homeless. So this boy, there was someone in the taxi who took a video of this boy encouraging someone. This guy is not even, he's homeless, but encouraging someone who's on a taxi. I'm sure that person is not homeless, and someone taking a video, and he encouraged that person and said, I'm a hustler. I hustle. I will always hustle. One day I will make it. So never give up. So encouraging these people. And then there's this singer, South African artist called Casper. Casper searched for him, and he even tweeted that anyone who can find that boy, I want him. So I don't know what did he do to him, but I saw pictures on social media. That guy sitting with Casper in your vest, with food, with clothes. I don't know what else did he do with him, but I'm sure now he can never be in the same situation again. So that is one example of Ubuntu. Anyone wants to contribute? Okay, we are almost done. Only 2 minutes. You can tell us just one story. How did the pandemic impact your sense and understanding of Ubuntu? How did the pandemic impact your sense and understanding of Ubuntu? Coronavirus.
Can I? Okay, I'll go first. I think for me, I think I experienced Ubuntu more at work than anything else. I felt like at work we were very nervous at the beginning, but as we settled into the routine of, making sure that our shop was, we made sure that it was clean. We had brooms. We had a bucket of bleach in the morning. We'd wipe down everything so that it was, everything was clean for the day. And doing extra jobs around the shop that you wouldn't normally do. I just felt that it filled me with such happiness to see that everyone came together to make work almost so that it wasn't a lot of work on one person. It was made their job a lot easier, as well as I saw that a lot more people that normally wouldn't, give of themselves, gave, like doing shopping for other people and giving groceries to these families who just had nothing, and had families that had lost their job and all that. And it was just amazing to see the outpouring of support towards other people during the pandemic. It was very touching to see. I think it was a nice example of how South Africans can really come together when we put our minds together, especially with that. I think on the I think the news channel, they had a fundraiser, and it like raised funds in almost 24 hours. They had some ridiculous number. It was brilliant. But I think, that would be my examples of, during the crisis.
Okay, that's good. The spirit of Ubuntu, guys. I think this is, we have. This is the end of today's session. So that was the. Is there anyone else want to share? Just one. If there's any burning stories, just one person want to share. Okay. If not, then thank you guys for listening and participating. This is the end of our session. See you on the 4th session.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Tembela. I really appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.